Welcome to day 18 of your 40-day Mission-Minded Family Challenge. Throughout this fourth week, we're focusing on learning and memorizing the Beatitudes from Jesus' Sermon on the Mount in Matthew chapter 5. If you want your family to be blessed by God, you got to look at these verses that say, blessed are those. Today we're looking at blessed are those who are meek, and blessed are those who hunger and thirst after righteousness. Today, on day 18, our featured missionary quote is from Hudson Taylor, who is featured in the Mission-Minded Child with the Mission Monologue skit, in the Mission-Minded Family as a great example of balancing an effective ministry and family life, and also in our free Vacation Bible School curriculum, Maps for Kids, Mission Adventure Preparation School. It's available here online at harvestministry.org. In this week's World Geography Overview, we're learning where to find the countries in Africa. Today, down in southern Africa, we have Angola, Zambia, Namibia, Botswana, South Africa, Lesotho, and Swaziland. Hudson Taylor, missionary to China, says, God uses people who are weak and feeble enough to lean on Him. Sometimes we think that we're not strong enough, smart enough, talented enough for God to use us. But what God is actually looking for is people who are weak and humble enough so that God's power can flow through you. Something that I think is a misconception is sometimes when we're sharing the gospel, we talk about how there's this little empty spot in your heart. There's this little place that only God can fill. And so when Jesus comes into your heart, He fills that little empty spot and you are complete. What I want to encourage you is to get a bigger view of God. God is huge. He is the almighty, all-powerful God of the entire universe. And our entire world is just like a little speck on the universe. And recently I was flying on an airplane and I was looking out over the city of Los Angeles, and the whole city was just a little group of lights. And I just thought, I looked down and thought, God knows every person in that city. He knows even the hairs on the head of every single person in that city. God looks down on that little speck of the earth and He sees us. We're just a little speck on the speck. And God is wanting for us to just empty ourselves of our strength and our gifts and talents or whatever, so that His awesome greatness can flow through us to people around the world who need Him. As we're continuing with our study of the Beatitudes today, we are working on verses 5 and 6 from Matthew chapter 5. Matthew chapter 5, verse 5 says, "Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth." Okay, I do not say anything about my artistic skills here, but that doesn't matter. You can just draw simple little pictures and your kids can learn the Bible by pictures that you can draw. This is a bird and this is a beak, because beak was what reminded us of the word meek. Now, sometimes when we think of meek, we think of weakness, but actually meek is strength under control, and that's what God wants. God wants for us to be totally under His control, where our strength is submitted and surrendered to Him. And then in verse 6, it is, blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness' sake, for they shall be filled. Okay, the little picture that I use for righteousness is a nest with a cross on it. That is what our family uses when we're memorizing a verse having to do with righteousness. So here we have some hungry little birds. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be filled. God wants you to be hungry and thirsty for things of God. For today's Mission-Minded Challenge, I want to encourage you to allow God's greatness to flow through you and to memorize those first 6 verses of the Sermon on the Mount.